Okay, so let's get in here with more Imperator Rome with the Invictus mod. This time I want to cover cultures, and I'll probably touch on some characters as well. So just like religion, cultures is a big part of this game because each population in the game has a culture and a religion. So we can go to our culture map mode here. Again, just like religion, there is lots of cultures throughout the game, and they are separated into different culture groups. So if we check here, we are in the Arabian culture group. It's this green color here in Saba, and our primary culture is Sabain. So of course they are primary culture, which means they are integrated. So they have the most happiness. We also have a couple others in the Arabian culture group as well. Himyaritic, Manian, Katabian. Yes, we got three more here. Then Hadrami and Makan are also in the. We don't have any population of those in our nation at the moment. And then we have one down here that's Axumite. So they have a little less because they are a foreign culture, so they won't get as happy as the rest of us. But they're only a slave right now anyway. We don't need to worry too much about slave happiness. In the game, you have 5 different populations. Well, I guess your pops can be 5 different types. There's your nobles, citizens, freemen, tribesmen, and then slaves. Your integrated culture can become any of these 5. Nobles is the highest level. The others, currently in our nation here, they are set to freeman level. As you know, we cannot change the culture rights of our primary culture, but we could change some of the others here. So we could, if we wanted to, we could take the Himyaritic culture, and we can say, you know what, you guys can become citizens. There's 43 of you in the nation. So if you're citizens, then you can be a lot happier. Each of these 5 types will provide different things. The nobles here gives us research and trade routes. They also eat a lot of food. Citizens give us manpower, a little less research, and a little less trade. The freemen provide us mainly with our local manpower. Slaves provide us with tax, our money supply, and tribesmen have, also a little bit of tax and manpower as well. There's not too many of those down in this area. They are in Northern Europe. There's going to be a lot of them. That's going to be your primary people up there. So if we decide to change them, anybody to a citizen and noble, then we can integrate them. So they'll be happier. Those people will be happier. However, each integrated culture you have, even the ones within your culture group, will lower your happiness by, I believe it's, yes, by 5. If they all have the, that level. So you don't want to integrate too many cultures, because then, even if you have your integrated cultures, a lot of them, they won't be too happy for sharing that power level. Of course, we can go to our technology and invention trees, which will increase the happiness of our characters. Can't remember where it was at. Was it under religion? I can't remember where exactly it was. But there's certain inventions you can get that will increase your unintegrated culture happiness. And here we go. So as an example here, so anything that's unintegrated, so anybody but my primary Sabaean culture, will have an extra +3 happiness. That's good. Because it's, because they are not integrated, they are harder to please. We've got a few over here as well, unintegrated cultural happiness, and our civic tree. That's where it was. I knew it was somewhere. All right. And for each of our cultures here, also you can check the map mode. Like here's our Sabaean culture. Here's the Himmeratics, the Mineans, the Askamites. They're mainly over here, but we've got one slave that somehow crossed over in this area. So other than promoting our pops to integrate them, we have different decisions as well you can provide for each of your culture groups. So if we check our Sabaean here, there's different things we can do. They'll provide different bonuses and negatives, which they'll be there until you essentially revoke that later on. And depending on if they're integrated or not, we'll have different cultural decisions that we can do. Which will increase or decrease, their happiness and provide some other benefits at a cost of stability and some other things, which you can do throughout the game. It's best to probably, if you're going to integrate a culture, it's really only beneficial if you want to integrate, because if you really want more citizens and nobles, so you really want the that extra research. Getting a high population. For example, integrating this Axamite here, he's currently a slave. So he could, promote up to a freeman as he's able to at the moment. But really integrating him to grant him noble or citizen status at the cost of 5, happiness to my Sabaeans who have 150 population is not necessarily the best choice. Now, if we were to gain a bunch of Askamites, then, maybe that could be a possibility. But at the moment, that's nothing to worry about. So as noted, each of our population, if I come down here, so my capital, we've got our population here, we've got our slaves. They are, not so happy. They're below happiness. They're going to get some unrest, but they're slaves. They're not going to do much. Here we've got, our tribesmen, our freemen, our citizens, and our nobles. The upper 3 are going to be, if they are unhappy, they'll provide lots of unrest. That's what you need to worry about. But for now, they're pretty good. And we can also move our population anywhere within our province here to our capital from different territories. We can also move them across anything within the same area. You can highlight it as well. And of course it costs money or political influence depending on which level of pop you wish to move. Now, moving pops for the reasons of one of the important things is, of course, slaves, because each province produces a good, and you'll see here, so for every 15 slave pops we'll get an extra +1, which we can use to trade off to the capital or trade off to another nation for added trade route income bonus. So if you've got 14 slaves somewhere, it's like, maybe I want to get that 15th slave moved over and get an extra +1. I think that would be good. And of course there are technologies and inventions here that will reduce the required amount of slaves needed to produce the excess. So if you want to, you can, look around there and be like, okay, if I do this, I can get, move my slaves around and get lots of additional pluses. Which, yeah, it's something if you want, really want to get into the min-maxing of it as. But for the most part, it's okay where they are. Eventually, most of them will move to cities, which is where, you'll get your freemen and your citizens and your nobles will be. You'll have a few cities on the map. Most places will be a settlement, which we'll get into later when I, do that. But we'll go into the characters here. So here is a list of characters. We've got all our characters within our nation. If I see here, I got this checked off. We can also sort them by any of these traits here, which will help for our council. We can sort them by their power base, their loyalty, find out who's, disloyal. Maybe we need to either make them loyal or remove them from the equation. We've got to see all their traits, their succession support, how much wealth they have, their ages. You can sort that just like in Crusader Kings. Here we've got, okay, all my adult rule, all the adult people in the kingdom here. Or maybe we don't want the adults. Maybe we want to say, no adults. And then we have the X here. It'll filter out any adults, and it'll just be anyone under the age of 16, I believe, is the cutoff. Because at 15, she is still considered the not an adult. But here we got all of them listed back again. But, so that's good. The important thing is, though, is this families tree. So in the game, each nation, I believe, has 3 families. They could vary between 2 and 4. And they all have a power base. Your ruler, no matter which nation you play, will be part of one of the 3, it'll be one of the great families, in a sense. And the most important thing to worry about is the positions held. So each family wants at least here, they want at least 3 positions held in either as a researcher or in the government as an office, which has a little corner here as a color, so you can easily tell, okay, these people are part of a great family. And you can see that our chief diplomat here, he is not. He's just a random nobleman who we've hired on, which some of them could be better. As you can see, he's got a 9. He's the best of anyone on my council so far. But as long as they have at least, 3 out of 3, just 4 out of 3, then they'll be content. Anytime that you favor a certain family over others, they have a chance of getting unrest, and if they have enough power based, then they can rebel against you, and you have a civil war in your hands, which is not good. Each nation here also has each great family has their prestige level as well. So yeah, this is the important thing is just, keeping them content. And of course, as well, like in Crusader Kings, we've got a lot of interactions with characters. This is my nation leader right now. So we don't play as the character, we play as the nation. He's just in charge, much like Europa Universalis. So we've got a lot of things here. We've got things like if he was unmarried here, we can arrange a marriage with someone within the great families, a different nation, all things like that. Yes, and as long as he's popular, it'll provide us a benefit. Currently, he's losing popularity. His charisma's not that great. He's not a very charismatic leader, unfortunately. But he's not corrupted, so that's good. And yeah, I think that covers almost everything, unless I forget, the main points of culture and characters here. along with our population. So that'll be it for this, and I'll continue this another time.